position, Ikadian said the State House of Assembly would have to look at it and approve it at a later date. And back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoino has recommended a more robust, collaborative and mutual beneficial relationship between Sterling Petrochemical and Fertilizer Limited SPFL and the host communities on the SPFL Gas and Petrochemical Free Zone project in Eastern Obolo. Governor Umoino made the recommendation when he played host to delegations from the company led by its Chief Operating Officer, Mohit Barot, and the Eastern Obolo community led by the Chairman, Oil and Gas Committee, Professor Gamaliel Henry, at Government House, Uyo. The governor, on whose instance the meeting was held to get briefing on the company's operation in the state so far and the community relations issues, posited that there was need for optimum government involvement to moderate the economy, community relationship to ensure balance between investors, comfort and survival chances of the host community. To this end, the governor directed that a secretary to the state government constitutes a tripartite committee involving the state government, SPFL and Eastern Obolo community, also recommending that the Commissioner of Police be included in the committee so as to be well acquainted with the fundamentals of the issues and be part of solutions. Reaffirming his commitment to the governor of all, Government House correspondent Jane Uwa reports that the governor, said he was willing to go the extra mile to ensure amicable resolutions in the investor-community conflict interests of all, stressing that the state needs the investment as much as it needs to guarantee the survival of the Akwa Ibom people in Eastern Obolo. And still to come in the news, Bank of Canada holds rate at 5% highest in 22 years. Please stay with us.
The National Broadcasting Commission welcomes broadcasters, content creators, tech experts, exhibitors, and investors from Nigeria and all over to the 13th edition of Africast. Africast 2023 brings you 3 days of world-class exposition, innovation, and technology advancement, featuring an exceptional lineup of industry leaders that will inspire and guide you with their insights and expertise. Theme, broadcast content, synergy, finance, and market. Date, Tuesday the 24th to Thursday the 26th of October 2023. Venue, Marriott Hotel, Ikeja, Lagos. Time, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Chief host, Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris. Host, Mr. Charles Ibwebu. Director General. Announcer, Management, NBC. Your right to quality broadcasting.
Many thanks for staying with us, and now to the rest of the news stories. We move to Africa now, where King Charles III and Queen Camilla has met with members of the UK's Kenyan diaspora during a reception at Buckingham Palace. Reports say the royal couple will also visit the East African nation from October 31st to November 3rd. According to reports, Kenyan President William Ruto invited the royal couple for the visit, which comes as the African nation prepares to celebrate 60 years of independence from Britain in December. The program will reflect the two countries' desires to working together on a range of issues which include boosting prosperity, tackling climate change, promoting youth opportunity and employment, advancing sustainable development, and creating a more stable and secure region. Meanwhile, detained Senegalese opposition figure Ousmane Sonko, who 8 days ago resumed a hunger strike, is very weak and in an intensive care unit, one of his lawyers told newsmen today. Sonko briefly fell into a coma on October 23rd, Sia Claridor said, adding that he had been able to speak with the politician a day earlier. He said Sonko regained consciousness the same day but remained frail. Sonko intends to contest the presidential election in February, has accused President Macky Sall of using legal procedures to topple his political career, an accusation the president denies. Meanwhile, Sonko has faced a series of legal battles over the past 2 years. He was arrested and imprisoned on a string of charges in July, including fomenting insurrection, criminal association in connection with a terrorist enterprise, and undermining state security over incidents dating back to 2021. According to people close to him, he began a hunger strike on July 30th, but called it off on September 2nd at the request of influential religious leaders. Still in Africa, hundreds of residents of the Moroccan town of Amizmiz have reportedly protested against local authorities weeks after a deadly earthquake destroyed their homes. The residents accuse local authorities of delaying aid and neglection, as well as withholding assistance, including tents from some of the residents who lost their homes. Reports say Amizmiz, located 34 miles, 55 kilometers south of Marrakesh, was one of the hardest hit by the September 8 earthquake. The earthquake was the worst to strike Morocco in more than 60 years, killing nearly 3,000 people and leaving thousands more injured and homeless. In the meantime, a Kenyan soldier attached to the East African Force in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has been killed following an ambush by rebels. DR Congo spokesman Patrick Muyaya told newsmen that the soldier died during clashes between the regional forces and the M23 rebels in Kimbumba area. Meanwhile, there was no immediate comment from the Kenyan authorities. It is the first death reported among the Kenyan troops since they joined the force last year. A statement from the DR Congo Army condemned the killing, blaming it on the M23. It said the rebels fired a mortar targeting positions of the East African Community Regional Force, EACRF. Elsewhere, Ethiopian-born scientist Gibisa Ejeta has received the National Medal of Science, the highest state honor attainable by scientists in the United States. U.S. President Joe Biden said he awarded Ejeta the medal for his outstanding contributions to the science of plant genetics. Ejeta is acclaimed as one of the world's leading plant geneticists. He specializes in the study of sorghum, a popular source of food in Africa. In 2009, Ejeta won the prestigious World Food Prize for developing a sorghum hybrid that is resistant to both drought and the parasitic wheat striga, which commonly invades farms in Africa. Sorghum is the fifth most important cereal crop globally after maize, wheat, rice, and barley. It is also the second most important cereal in Africa and has been embraced as a staple by several countries on the continent, particularly those prone to drought. On the foreign scene, Hong Kong leader John Lee said today the semi-autonomous city would create its own national security law in 2024, 4 years after Beijing imposed sweeping legalization aimed at silencing dissent. In a 3-hour-plus policy address, the Beijing anointed leader unveiled measures aimed at revitalizing Hong Kong's COVID-ravaged economy and flagged population growth, while asserting the need to protect the Chinese city from external forces. It was a massive pro-democracy protest rocked the finance hub in 2019, bringing hundreds of thousands of people to the streets to call for greater freedoms and more autonomy from mainland China. In response, Beijing imposed a national security law to punish 4 major crimes: secession, subversion, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces, with sentences ranging up to life in prison. Meanwhile, security chief turned leader Lee, who is under U.S. sanctions for his role in stamping out the protests, said Hong Kong would continue to safeguard national security. Still on the foreign scene, dozens of U.S. states have accused Facebook and Instagram owner Meta of profiting from children's pain, damaging the mental health and misleading people about the safety of its platform. In total, more than 40 states are suing Meta, though some opted to file in local courts rather than join in the federal case. The legal filing argued that Meta has exploited young users by creating a business model designed to maximize time they spend on the platform despite harm to their health. The suit accuses Meta of deceptive and unlawful conduct harming vulnerable youth for financial gain. Meanwhile, United States meteorologist says Hurricane Otis, an extremely dangerous Category 5 storm, has made landfall in southern Mexico. According to the National Hurricane Center (NHC), Otis touched down near the popular Acapulco resort yesterday. The NHC, while stating that the storm's winds are forecast to reach 165 miles per hour, warned of destructive waves and heavy flooding in coastal areas, including Acapulco. Meanwhile, Mexican President Andrés Obrador urged Mexican citizens to move to emergency shelters away from rivers and ravines. Elsewhere, former British police officer convicted for having posed as a teenage boy on social media to trick girls into sending explicit images of themselves was handed a life sentence by a court in Wales today. Lewis Edwards' sentencing follows a number of highly damaging episodes for UK forces, in particular London's Metropolitan Police Service, the country's largest. Edwards, 24, exploited 210 girls aged between 10 and 16 by coercing them to send graphics image of themselves on Snapchat, a social media platform where images typically disappear that he then secretly saved. He will spend a minimum of 12 years in prison after pleading guilty to 160 charges, including child sexual abuse and blackmail. Edwards, who refused to appear in court for his sentencing, was granted a reduction of 1/3 to his sentence due to his entering a guilty plea for the crimes that took place between November 2020 and February 2023. Meanwhile, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has said that the Palestinian militant group Hamas is not a terrorist organization. Erdogan described Hamas as a liberation group fighting to protect Palestinian lands and their people. NATO member Turkey condemned the civilian deaths caused by Hamas' October 7th rampage in southern Israel, but also urged Israeli forces to act with restraint. Meanwhile, as the violence and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza have worsened, Ankara has strongly criticized Israel's bombardment of the territory. Erdogan made the proclamation while speaking with lawmakers from his ruling AK party, using an Arabic word denoting those who fight for their faith. Unlike many of its NATO allies and the European Union, Turkey does not consider Hamas a terrorist organization and hosts members of the group on its territory. Erdogan also slammed Western powers for supporting Israel's bombing of Gaza and called for an immediate ceasefire, the unhindered entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza, and for Muslim countries to work together to stop the violence. In a related development, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, has warned that the war between Israel and Hamas is already impacting Middle East economies and could lead to long-term economic damage. Georgieva made this known at the Future Investment Initiative FII conference in Saudi Arabia. She told the conference that the fund is concerned with the tragic loss of life, adding that it is also worried about the destruction and reduction of economic activities such as educational challenges and tourism. Meanwhile, a dig in northern Iraq has unearthed a 2,700-year-old alabaster sculpture of the winged Assyrian deity Lamassu, which was found largely intact despite its large dimensions. According to the dig's French leader, Pascal Barthelin, only the head was missing, and that was already in the collection of the Iraq Museum in Baghdad, after being confiscated by customs officers from smugglers in the 1990s. Erected at the entrance to the ancient city of Kasabdat, some 15 kilometers north of the modern city of Mosul, the sculpture shows the Lamassu, an Assyrian deity with a human head, the body of a bull, and the wings of a bird. Batalin said it was commissioned during the reign of King Sargon II, who ruled from 722 to 705 BC, and erected at the city's gate to provide protection. It's time for the latest business stories. Here is Blessing Dixon.
Thank you, Francis Adept. Good evening, it's Business News. My name is Blessing Dixon. In the news, the Bank of Canada held the target for its overnight rate unchanged at 5% in its October 2023 meeting, leaving borrowing costs at a 22-year high. The decision extended the tightening purse for the second time, as the Governing Council noted that past interest rate hikes have already dampened economic activity and limited price growth, warranting caution against over-tightening. The latest data showed a fresh slowdown in headline and core inflation rates, while GDP growth and retail sales stagnated. The bank thus expects inflation to remain volatile before retreating to 2% by 2025, heading to upside risks as energy prices and wage growth remains elevated. In Nigeria, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says it has uncovered 149 cases of crude oil theft across the Niger Delta from 14th to 20th October 2023. In a statement, the company said that in one of its incidents, an oil bunkering site was uncovered in Osuobodo between two Athan flow stations south of Ogwota Naval Base in Imo State. This discovery was made possible after an invasion by the military following information gathered by air surveillance carried out by Target Energy, Tanita Security Services, Operation Delta State, and the military in August. It noted that drums of crude oil feeding from an illegal connection bags were used for storing crude and more were discovered on the camp. Still in Nigeria, the Lagos State Division of Tax Appeal Tribunal has ordered MTN Nigeria Communications to pay $72.551 million in tax default to the Federal Inland Revenue Services from 2007 to 2017. However, the tribunal absolved the communication from paying the sum of $21.039 million as penalties and interest on the principal sum. A 5-person panel led by Professor A.B. Hamed gave the verdict and order recently while delivering judgment in an appeal filed by the telecommunication company against the request by the FIRS to pay the default. It's time for the Nigerian Stock Market Report. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 329.66 million shares in 5,988 deals corresponding to a market value of 4.41 billion naira were traded. The benchmark all-share index 0.61 basis point to close at 67,206.16 points. Nigerian Stock Exchange is 36.9 trillion naira. 120 with 23 gainers and 18 losers. Multiverse Mining and Exploration led the gainers with a 9.74% share price appreciation, closing at 2 naira 93 kobo per share. On the losing side, eTransact International came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 7 naira 56 kobo per share. Fidelity Bank also recorded the highest volume of 50.3 million traded shares. This is all in business news. And back to Francis Adet for the rest of the news. Good evening.
Thank you, Blessing Dixon. And still to come in the news, American heavyweight tells Anthony Joshua he's ready to fight as talks continue. Do stay with us.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Many thanks to staying with us, and now return to conclude the rest of our news stories. And how the federal government has introduced the human papillomavirus vaccine into the routine immunization system. The vaccination targets over 7 million girls, which is the largest number in a single round of HPV vaccination in the African region. A statement by the World Health Organization (WHO) noted that a 5-day mass vaccination campaign in schools and communities will be carried out during the inaugural rollout in 16 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Reports say girls aged 9 to 14 years will receive a single dose of the vaccine, which is highly efficacious in preventing infection with HPV type 16 and 18 that are known to cause at least 70% of cervical cancers. Still in health, the Ondo State chapter of the Nigerian Medical Association (NME) has threatened to embark on an industrial action if the state government fails to fulfill its promise to review the hazard allowance of its members. The NMA lamented that for a long time, doctors practicing in government-owned hospitals were paid only 5,000 naira. Speaking during an event to mark the NMA 2023 Physicians Week in Akure, the chairman, NMA Ondo chapter, Dr. Omotoshin Adeyemi Oshowe, said despite promises, the state had refused to increase the hazard allowance. While confirming that the state had also experienced the Japa syndrome in the health sector, the chairman also added that the development required the government to improve the welfare of the remaining health workers in the state. It's now time for sport news.
Well, thank you so much. Good evening. In sports, Deontay Wilder says it'll be a major disaster if he and Anthony Joshua never fight. The American heavyweight is in talks to face Joshua in 2024 after a fight in Saudi Arabia this year fell through. Wilder, who is 38, addressed Joshua on social media after the Briton suggested they could share a bill with Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. Unified champion Usyk is set to fight WBC champion Fury in a long-awaited undisputed fight, but that bout is expected to be announced for 23rd December in Saudi Arabia. Joshua said he intends to fight in December, but it's unlikely to be against former WBC champion Wilder. Promoter Eddie Hearn has suggested a fight between 34-year-old Joshua and Wilder was closed in September before the potential host in Saudi Arabia backed out of the deal. Well, in football, the Nigeria Super Eagles will take on the Crocodiles of Lesotho in the opening match of the FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifiers on Friday, November 17. The encounter is expected to be played at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo as Jose Pesero's led side hopes to start the qualifiers on a bright note. 3 days later, the three-time African champions will then face off against Zimbabwe on November 20, with a game billed at the Amahoro Stadium, Kigali. In the Republic, managed by former Super Eagles head coach Gennett Rowe, and the Bafana South Africa and Rwanda are the other teams in the group. The number one team in the group will advance automatically to the next 2026 World Cup to be staged in USA, Canada, and Mexico. While talking football in Europe, Chelsea could cash in on Arsenal's current goalkeeping situation by making a January move for Aaron Ramsdale. The English stopper has been consigned to the bench by Gunners boss Mikel Arteta since being dropped for Arsenal's clash with Manchester United last month, with summer signing David Raya being installed as the club's number one. Despite Arteta claiming he would rotate his two goalies, Raya has started all 6 Premier League games since coming in to replace Ramsdale. Raya has conceded 6 goals in that period and displayed some nervy performances, but it looks he's going to be staying as Arteta's first choice. The situation could see Ramsdale look elsewhere for festive football. Chelsea could swap in for the 25-year-old in January. But that's it on sports. My name is Isaac. Isaac, well, back to you. Good evening.
Thank you, Isaac. We move over to entertainment, where famous Nollywood actress turned politician Tonto Dike has finally opened up on why she defected from the African Democratic Congress, ADC, to the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. Recall that Tonto Dike was officially unveiled as an APC member by the national women leader Dr. Maria Lile at the party's national secretariat in Abuja on Monday. Speaking on her decision to join the APC, Tonto, who was the running mate of the ADC governorship candidate in Rivers State during the 2023 election, said that she believes in the prosperity of Nigeria under President Bola Tinubu administration. Meanwhile, Maverick singer Olawale Oluforo, popularly known as Brymo, has accused Grammy-winning musician Burna Boy of stealing his intellectual property. The Iraq runner alleged that Burna Boy's City Boys and I Told Them sampled the album title track of his upcoming album, Maccabee. He said that what Burna Boy did was a crime and should serve a jail term. Meanwhile, Nigerian singers Rema, Reminis and Blackbones are all set to drop new projects on Friday, October 27, 2023. Rema was enjoying an incredible 2023 with the massive international success with his hit single Calm Down, but Selena Gomez is set to drop a new EP he calls Ravage EP. Award-winning rapper Reminis is also set to release his fifth album Alaye Toshegogo ATSG. The 13-track album featured guest appearance from Olamide, Odumodu Black, Oxlade, Bremo and Banksing, among others. Meanwhile, Blackbone is also preparing to release his anticipated album, A Maker Must Shine, which has been heralded by the release of singles like I Spies, Like Bezos, and Bad Till Eternity, featuring Zlatan. Lastly, in the news tonight, a United States actor Richard Roundtree, best known for his starring role in the Shaft film franchise, has reportedly died at the age of 81. According to his manager Patrick McMean, Roundtree died at home in Los Angeles with his family by his side. McMean added that his death comes after a short battle with pancreatic cancer. And that's all we have for you this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTVLive.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Francis Oyima Ada. Many thanks for being there. Do enjoy the rest of your night.
The National Broadcasting Commission welcomes broadcasters, content creators, tech experts, exhibitors, and investors from Nigeria and all over to the 13th edition of Africast. Africast 2023 brings you 3 days of world-class exposition, innovation, and technology advancement, featuring an exceptional lineup of industry leaders that will inspire and guide you with their insights and expertise. Theme: broadcast content, synergy, finance, and market. Date: Tuesday the 24th to Thursday the 26th of October 2023. Venue: Marriott Hotel, Ikeja, Lagos. Time: 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Chief host: Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris. Host: Mr. Charles Ibwebu, Director General. Announcer: Management. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting.